All right, welcome to The Explainer. I am super thrilled you're here today. Look, if you're the kind of person who loves to peek behind the curtain and see how the hidden systems of our world actually operate, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to decode the invisible architecture of human conflict, and incredibly, how that exact same psychological structure is hardwired directly into the language we speak every single day. We are taking some deeply fascinating source material and turning it into a clear, visual roadmap for you.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We've literally all been there, right? You're stuck in an argument, a tough negotiation, or just a deeply frustrating relationship dynamic, and no matter what you say or do, you just can't break free. It feels like you're running on this endless hamster wheel of conflict. So the real question is, why? What are the actual structural mechanics keeping you stuck?
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The anatomy of a game. 2. The four-corner reality. 3. The hidden exclusion postulates. 4. Sanity versus insanity loops. 5. The 2026 linguistic axiom. And 6. Decoding the overwhelm sequence.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the anatomy of a game.
To really understand conflict, we first have to establish what we mean when we talk about a game within this highly structured system. In this framework, a game isn't just a casual activity like Monopoly. It's any significant human conflict. And every single game operates on a structure of what are called postulates, which are basically just firm intentions or demands. To break down the jargon for a second, there is the SD, or self-determined postulate. That is simply what you want. Then there's the PD, or pan-determined postulate, and that is what you need from the other person. Think of it like a giant tug-of-war. You need them to pull back, otherwise, well, the game ends. You literally cannot play a game alone. You absolutely need that dynamic tension.
And this brilliantly illustrates how that dynamic tension actually works. Let's say your drive is I must know. Well, for that conflict to even exist, someone else has to be pushing a must not know agenda, right? All games start right here, in the clash of these opposing forces.
Moving right along to Section 2, the four-corner reality.
But that's really just the surface level. Let's zoom out and shift our focus to the macro view of the game, introducing the sheer mathematical elegance of the playing field itself. We are looking at the simple, logical grid of reality. Let's say X is your goal and Y is your opponent's goal. There are only 4 possible outcomes here. You can have both X and Y present, which is a complementary no-game state. You can have X present and Y absent, or Y present and X absent. Those are your 2 opposing active game states. Or lastly, you can have neither, which is a null class. These 4 classes are necessary and sufficient. They form the literal shape of the playing field itself.
And this emphasizes a truly profound truth. Any aware being who has ever played a game in this universe has engaged with this exact four-cornered grid. It is the inescapable shape of human interaction. Structurally speaking, no other option is mathematically or logically available to us.
All right, Part 3, the hidden exclusion postulates.
So the absolutely crucial point is, why do we get stuck in these grids? This brings us to the emotional turning point of our explainer. The invisible architecture. Now, what we've talked about so far are the visible legs of a conflict. What you're doing and what you need from the opponent. But there are also invisible exclusion postulates. These are the hidden must-nots that you subconsciously maintain. They actively keep you out of the very class you are trying to drive your opponent into. It's this secret mechanism that prevents the game from ever actually resolving.
This is exactly why conflicts just cannot change from within. You have your active drive, sure, but underneath it all, a hidden exclusion postulate acts as an invisible wall. You're pushing your opponent, but secretly ensuring they can never actually comply, because if they did, the game would end. You are actively, invisibly sustaining the engagement.
Which brings us to Section 4, sanity versus insanity loops.
Let's guide you a little deeper down the rabbit hole here. What happens when this four-corner game becomes a compulsive trap? This is the profound elegance of the math in this framework. The sanity loop is based on the logic that a thing and its absence share 0 common ground. X times not X equals 0. An apple cannot be a not apple, right? Sanity is the ability to maintain clear distinctions. But the insanity loop, that occurs when the math completely breaks down. X times not X equals 1. It's the impossible belief that a thing can exist and not exist simultaneously. Distinctions completely collapse.
When overwhelming failure hits in a conflict, a person compulsively collapses the 4 corners of our grid into a single, impossible point. This is called the twin insanity point structure, or KIPS.
Both players arrive at this impossible identification at the exact same time, completely removing all rational classes and permanently freezing the conflict.
Section 5, the 2026 Linguistic Axiom.
Now prepare yourselves for a real mind-bending twist. What's really interesting about this is that the exact psychological architecture of insanity we just mapped out, it is physically embedded in the alphabet we use every single day. The 5 stages of the psychological overwhelm sequence map perfectly to what the source material calls the universal consonant position law. When a person is overwhelmed, they go from confusion to a pulse to an impossible rest point to an afterpulse. And that perfectly maps to how consonants function at the start, middle, and specific end positions of our words.
The implication here is just staggering. Every single time a word moves from a starting consonant to a middle position to an ending position, it is mimicking a human being moving through that exact psychological insanity barrier. The structure of consciousness itself is literally encoded into the physical reality of our language.
And finally, Section 6, Decoding the Overwhelm Sequence.
Let's move from the theoretical to practical application. We are going to prove this linguistic twist by deconstructing everyday words. Think of the word no. The K contains the meaning, but it remains completely silent. It acts as the hidden exclusion postulate. The N is the active postulate you actually hear. The silent letter physically locks the word from being fully decoded, just like hidden agendas prevent games from resolving.
Let's look at another brilliant example. Spread versus spray. They mean pretty similar things, but their consonant endings dictate the physical reality of the action. Spread ends in a hard D. In this code, D means arriving at knowing. The action is completed. Spray ends in a continuing Y, representing an ongoing action with absolutely no internal endpoint. The words structurally describe their own specific function based entirely on their consonant positions.
Bringing our narrative full circle, this reveals an unbelievable symmetry. The Boolean logic of the sanity loop, the four-corner reality of human conflict, and the hidden traps of our psychology, they perfectly mirror the physical rules governing the letters and words we speak every single day. The psychological traps we just learned about have been hiding in plain sight in our dictionaries all along.
I want to leave you with this final, truly provocative thought. If the precise mathematical structure of human conflict, overwhelm, and even insanity is hardwired right into the consonants of our vocabulary, are we really speaking the language, or is the language speaking us? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll see you next time.